All right, hello, guys. Inside this episode, we interviewed Deb, who is a long-time trainer with Summit Strength, and she shares some really interesting insights around her training journey through Summit Strength and how the training has helped improve her performance on the trail. She shares some really cool ideas around how she approaches her hiking and what her sort of mindset is around keeping fit for the trail, and also shares a few of her very interesting dehydrating ideas, which she likes to bring out on the trail with us. So really fantastic episode. Really hope you enjoy it. So let's get into it. Hey, my name is Rowan Smith and I want to welcome you to the Training for Trekking podcast. Now, this is the world's very first podcast which is entirely dedicated to helping you train, prepare and conquer your upcoming hike, trek or mountain adventure. So once a week, I'm going to be giving you quality and practical information on the subjects of physical preparation for trekking, dealing with altitude, and nutrition on the trail, so you can know everything you need to be doing to have the best chance of a safe, enjoyable, and successful adventure. So now you know what you're in for. Let's get into today's episode. So welcome, Deb. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Really excited to have you on board.
Thanks for having me or suggesting it, Rowan.
It's been a long time coming, I think. And I'm pumped for this because I can't believe I actually haven't had you on the show already. So this is going to be a good one, I think. This is going to be a good one. So to kick things off, let's just start as where we always start, is if you want to give yourself a little introduction and just talk us through, who you are, where you're from, what do you do, and what is your background in the world of hiking?
My name's Deb. Well, that's pretty obvious. I now live in Albury in Australia, which is between the capital cities of Canberra and Melbourne, right on the border of two states, and basically an hour from the high country or our high mountains. I was a teacher for 40 years, so I'm pretty old and ancient, but I only came to hiking when I was about 40, when my kids no longer needed me to be around and to do stuff for them every day. And I was encouraged to hike by a friend of mine who's quite a considerable number of years older than me, but she was an avid hiker. So she just encouraged me to come along one day. And I liked it, which was pretty unusual because as a young girl growing up in Sydney, my parents made me join Girl Guides and I hated every minute of it. I hated being outdoors. I hated camping. I hated exercise. I just didn't enjoy it. So that's me.
Yeah, there you go. What a change then from the Girl Guide hating it all to loving life on the later years.
Yeah, it was pretty, I really didn't enjoy Girl Guides, but then I got into swimming, which was my passion, and that seemed to be my thing, and I never, ever thought about being in the outdoors again until, my friend Jan suggested it to me.
Nice one. So we've been training together for, quite a while now. And, I want you to think back to, all the way back to when we sort of first started training together and we sort of first having a chat, like in that position, when we did first start working together with your training, what specifically were you looking to train for?
I think it must be about 12 months, nearly our anniversary coming up for me being a Summit Strengther. And the motivation behind it was that I was intending to do the Bibbulum track, one of Australia's long-distance hiking tracks. It's in Western Australia and it stretches from Perth to Albany and is about 1,008 kilometres. And I wasn't quite sure that I'd be able to stay motivated and fit enough myself, given that I had to cancel it last year due to COVID. So I thought maybe if I was on a program that I could do when it suited me, and I was on a program that targeted staying fit enough to do a long-distance hike, well, then I'd be more than likely to complete it without any issues. Little did I know that last year it'd be cancelled. This year it's also cancelled, but hey, that's the nature of the beast at the moment. So, yeah, so that was basically it. I just thought I needed some outside motivation to stay as fit as I could be.
Okay. And then tell us a little bit about sort of the training that, you've done or been through, with Summit Strength. What has been involved in your programs? What's the training look like? Give us a bit of a talk through there.
Well, Rowan, you are really, really easy to work with. You're very conscious that your program needs to be workable for everybody. So after a big, long chat to you and telling you that how many strength sessions I wanted a week, and that I normally would do a pack hike on a Tuesday and a real hike on a weekend, you adapted a program that involved lots of strength and conditioning exercises, as well as let me still swim and do Pilates, and it just all works. It works well for me. You've probably also realised that I'm quite determined to complete everything. If it's on my calendar, it gets done. So being able to schedule something for every day has allowed me to do that, as well as do everything else in life that life throws at you.
Yeah, you're certainly pretty good on the consistency side of things. I'll tell you that.
Some people would say I might be a little bit OCD with my consistency, but that's just the nature of the beast, and that's what teaching for 40 years does to you. You live a very organised, structured life. The only difference at the moment is there's not bells ringing at the end of every 40 minutes for the kids to change classes. But, yeah, I just like to know what I'm doing, and that way I can do other things as well.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. Yeah, it's a lifelong structure there, ground into you from the life of teaching. How good. So talking about the training then, going into that a little bit more, through the stuff that you've sort of been going through over the last, I guess, 12 months or whatever, is there anything in there that's a little bit sort of different to maybe what you've done before in the past, and maybe anything in there that you hadn't really given a go before?
There's nothing different in terms of the exercises, but how you structure a program is quite different, because in the past I've had personal trainers and I've been to gyms and all those sorts of things, and their motto tended to be, if you're not going hard, you're wasting your time. And I don't like hard and fast. I don't do anything in life hard or fast. So being able to talk to you about a structured program that would increase my strength and my conditioning without, putting my body under the pressures of, high intensity training was really good. It just works for me.
And then over this training journey, and through all these sort of months we've been working together, there's always bound to be, ups and downs and challenges and all of that. Like, throughout this process, have there been any sort of particular roadblocks or challenges that you've ran into with this training? And if so, sort of what have you sort of done to try and overcome them?
Well, I came into the program with not an injury, but a rehab that I was doing. 4 years ago, I snapped my Achilles. So I have one leg, one calf that's not as strong as the other. So I was aware that if I did get an injury, I needed to be very diligent in doing the rehab to the T that my physio gave me. So in the 12 months, I think I've twisted an ankle. I've had a few sessions of back spasms for no apparent reason. I've hurt my knees a couple of times, and I've fallen over and, just done those sorts of on-track injuries, but nothing too bad. And we've always been able to work around it and adjust the training so that it wasn't putting the areas that needed to be looked after under any undue stress and strain.
Yeah. And then, through this process, like, I'm not going to ask you any exercise or workouts which haven't been your favorite, because I think I pretty much know what you answer to that. So are there any exercises or workouts that have been your favorite, or anything that you've particularly enjoyed or seen, the value in?
I can see the value in everything. I don't have, like kids, you don't have a favourite exercise. And Palloff presses, you are quite aware that if I've got an unfavourite child, it would be that. But I understand the need to do them. No, I'm just one of those people. If you tell me to do it, I do it. I don't, unless you probably noticed that a couple of times, like in the current phase, there was quite a hard ball thingy up my Achilles, and I still look after my Achilles like it's a princess, because it's just going to be like that all the time. And you're aware that I don't like doing a lot of stuff that's going to compromise knees. So besides, you seem to be able to work around it. I don't mind what I do as long as it gets the results. I never get bored.
Yeah, fair. Okay. And then let's talk about your hiking then. Obviously you were leading up into, as you mentioned, the big trip on the big track, and obviously you had a bit of bad luck on that front. But, in regards to your hiking in general, have you sort of noticed, any changes after that you've been through the training, or notice any differences, out on the trail?
It's not so much that I notice it, it's that the people I hike with have noticed it, which is a real feather in your cap. At the end of May, I did the Great Ocean Walk. We started off with 3 but ended up with 2. And the guy I ended up hiking the rest of the track with is considerably younger and faster and fitter. And he commented after day 1 that obviously whatever I've been doing is paying off, because he couldn't shake me. So I was pretty happy with that. I know I pull up a lot better, and I don't know how to explain this, but I feel strong. I feel fitter, and that's a great feeling. It allows you to be the best you that you can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that feeling for myself. And I was actually writing about it this morning. I was doing a little upcoming article about that sort of thing. And when you've got that feeling and you're feeling strong in your body and you're feeling like, it sort of carries over into so many different things. Or you can hear me getting excited about it, talking about it. So, it's definitely a special type of feeling.
It's a great feeling. And it's one that I think, once you get it, at the moment, my leg's going, we've got to go for a hike, but there's not really anywhere you can go that's that exciting at the moment. But I know that it'll be there when eventually we can go. But, it's an interesting thing, because just before I snapped my Achilles, I came back from overseas really unwell. I had Giardia for about 3 months and it was undiagnosed, so I was pretty crap, and my energy levels and my fitness really took a dive. And once I got over that, I was determined that I was going to get fitter and stronger, and sort of tried to do it and did it myself. And in doing that, I implemented a few different policies. But, being on the program has brought that feeling back to it, that desire to be as fit as you can without compromising. Like, you've got to live as well. You can't just do everything just to hike, unfortunately. But, it's a great feeling. And, I hope everybody else is feeling it.
So in the Summit Strength community, I've been looking forward to asking you this one. But, in the Summit Strength community, you're basically known as the dehydration
Oh, my
queen.
goodness.
And And it kind of seems like every week when we have our weekly group coaching calls, we all hop on the chat and we all talk together. It always seems like you've got another cool thing you've dehydrated or another cool recipe you tried out. So what I want to put to you right now is, are there any potential could you share any of your sort of favorite sort of on-trail dehydrated ideas, things that are sort of really, really enjoyed, in the past? Doesn't have to be a recipe or anything, but just the ideas that you've done in the past.
I like food. I like eating. I'm not one of these people that can have a protein shake for lunch or breakfast or dinner and feel that it's going to sustain me. I actually like to move my mouth, not only in talk, but eat as well and chomp through stuff. And I enjoy cooking. So for me, it's not a chore. It's a pleasure. And I just cook for the trail what I would cook at home. So I recently sent up a dehydrated box for my brother. Was going to do a hike. He lives in northern New South Wales, and it had African peanut stew in it, and he really enjoyed that. It was something totally different, but flavoursome and really light. They went and used it in their backyard and had a camp out instead of a hike. So those sorts of things are always good, as well as, the chocolate-coated dehydrated marshmallows, anything. I'm an intuitive cook, so if I see something, I can adapt it for my dehydrator and for hiking.
Yeah, fair. And yeah, those marshmallows, they definitely sound pretty good. And I think one of the crowd favorites that are people pretty impressed with when you brought it up was the dehydrated cheesecake at some stage.
Yeah, it's not bad. The sticky date and caramel sauce isn't bad either, but
yeah. Oh, really living it up on the trail. That's what we want.
You've got to have something to look forward to at every meal is my motto. I'm not one. I just find we don't eat packet food at home. I cook everything from fresh ingredients and from scratch. So if I'm doing that at home, there's no way I would want to do anything different on the track because my body's just not used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that makes absolute sense, and it's definitely a smart approach to that. And I guess, something else I wanted to ask you about is, we were chatting the other day, and we sort of the topic of like goal setting came up the other day, and you were like, you know what, I'm not a massive, for goal setting for myself. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were saying goal setting is not something that you particularly love doing or something you particularly do. So when it comes to your sort of long-term plans for your hiking and for everything else, like how do you approach that?
How do I approach what hikes I do, or how do I approach doing them?
Just planning and like sort of, as opposed to doing goal setting, which a lot of people do, like, well, how do you sort of look at, your long-term hiking and what hikes you want to do and how to get yourself ready for them and all of that?
The hikes that I want to do are really random. It might just pop up in a Facebook feed or in a magazine article that I'm reading or something, and I go, oh, yeah, that'd be pretty cool to do. And I think about, is it likely that I can do it? And I just keep myself as fit as I can be all the time for anything that might pop up. So I've got a number of packs, and I have one that is ready to go, and by the time I add food and water for a day, it'll weigh 16 kilos. So every time I go out and walk, I put it on my back. And I just keep doing that whenever I go for a walk, whenever I take the dog out, even if it's, half an hour with a friend who's not a hiker, I'll always have my pack on my back, so that rather than set a goal for hiking, I just set my mind at staying as fit as my body will allow me to be. Because it takes a lot to get to that stage, and I don't want to lose it and have to go back to, square one and start again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess out of curiosity, what is sort of, I know you sort of said you choose your hikes a bit of random there, but what is on the sort of bucket list of the sort of big trips? I know the bib track's obviously there. Is there anything else that is on the 1 day list?
A 1 day hike?
Yeah. Oh, as in 1 day I want to
do. 1 day. Well, the only thing that I've got left this year, I've got a couple of things on the go for this year. Hopefully at the beginning of November, my brother and I are going to do another hike together up in northern New South Wales, the Gibraltar Washpool National Park World Heritage Walk. It's a 4-day walk. And after that, I'm not sure. The more I see photos from everybody who's in the States, the more I want to go over there, and I've never wanted to go to the USA in my life. But the photos that people put up are just so different to home. It just blows my mind away. It's just like, whoa, you got to do it. So I don't know. Whatever happens, who knows?
Okay. And then if anyone was, in the position, obviously they listen to this podcast and, it's the Training for Trekking podcast. So they obviously are interested in training for this type of thing in general. Like, if anyone was sort of in the early stages of their training, or they were at this stage where they were sort of considering doing some particular training to help their time on the trail, from your perspective, what advice could you give them?
To believe in you, and that if you say it's going to work, it's going to work. And if you're going to join up and participate in a program, then make sure that your stage of life is compatible with doing that, because whilst it doesn't take a lot of time, it does take a bit of commitment, and it does require you to be consistent about it. But that's just my throw on life. Like, it's not going to happen unless you make it happen. And the only person that can make it happen is you. So make sure that if you've got 3 training sessions a week, do them. I don't know how, just manage it at some stage. Maybe you have to get up really early or do it later at night. But make a commitment is what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, when it comes down to any type of training success, regardless of how you're training or what you're training for, whatever it may be, the number one thing when it comes down to it is always sort of consistency over time. And, anyone can have a red hot week or two and really give it hell. But if you can string together 4, 5, 6, 8, a year's worth of training or whatever it may be, is in a consistent sense, that's where the magic happens. And I think that's some pretty solid advice there, Deb. And I guess,
sorry.
You go.
And I think, while we're making this podcast, the Paralympics is on, and the Olympics was on before it. And when you hear some of the people's stories about, this is their 4th Olympics, that's 16 years of training that they've committed to. And you sort of think, whoa, that's incredible that you can stay that motivated and have that hunger to be the best that you can in your given sport is just inspiring in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. There's some incredible stories that come out of those events, and yeah, it's definitely an inspiration from a lot of people. So I guess before we sort of wrap things up today, was there anything else that you sort of anything else you wanted to add? Anything else that you sort of wanted to to speak to for the hikers while we're here? Anything else that we haven't covered today that you thought might be valuable for anyone listening?
I think the way you set up Summit Strength and the training for trekking and hiking is really good, that it's so interactive and that people can learn from each other, because the community is only as good as the people that participate in it. And by sharing knowledge and information, it makes it all that stronger. And I think the fact that people are really supportive and they've got a common interest, It's really difficult to explain to people who aren't interested in hiking why you do it. Yet, those two groups, everybody gets it because that's exactly what they want to do. And yeah, it's just a really nice community to be part of.
Yeah, fantastic. And if anyone was sort of wondering about that community that Deb just mentioned, the Training for Hiking and Trekking Facebook group, it's a completely open community for anyone who does want to get involved. You don't have to be a member of Summer Strength or anything like that. But it is a really fantastic place where lots of hikers together, we share ideas around training, strategies, help on the trail, and celebrate each other's success. And you'll see plenty of Deb in there as well if you want to
say that.
If you ever want to grill her about any of her ideas. So if you were interested in joining that, you can find it at the Training for Hiking and Trekking Facebook group. I can leave a link in the show notes below. But yeah, really fantastic community if you do want to get involved with. But all in all, I just want to say, a really, really big thank you for you, Deb, for taking the time to come on board and have a chat through all this. Like, it's been, through this process, for helping you through, with your training journey and everything. It's been such a pleasure so far. And to see, the dehydrating queen and the consistency queen, getting it all done. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and have a chat about it all and share some of your insights. Really, really appreciate it.
That's fine. I've enjoyed it. And, if you don't enjoy doing something, you shouldn't be doing it. But I obviously enjoy what I'm doing, especially with the dehydrating and the consistency. So that's why you do it, because, not for other people to go, wow, but for yourself to go, gee, I've done that myself, and that makes everybody feel good.
You've been listening to the Training for Trekking podcast. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes. So thanks for getting involved, and we'll see you on the next one.